G'day legends, I hope you're all fantastic. On today's video, we are continuing our exploration of the new algorithms in the Eventide H90. I did headspace for the last video, so I'll stay with that delay theme and explore the Bouquet delay based on bucket brigade style delays, or analog delays as you may know them. I'm going to let you hear my clean tone, which isn't really that clean, but that's beside the point. And then I will kick in this little preset that I've put together with Bouquet delay, mix at 50%, 300 milliseconds of delay with some feedback, no modulation, but it is in this lo-fi mode. So I think this gives you a pretty good representation of the overall character of this particular delay. You can hear the lo-fi mode in there is way crustier and darker, and those repeats kind of melt away in comparison to the modern mode, but the modern mode is still quite filtered like an old school BBD style delay, and it has a little bit of that BBD style chirp in there as well. What's cool about this, and I think the real advantage to having, say, a BBD style delay in a digital style pedal like this, is you can go way beyond what was possible with those old units. For example, I've got an old Boss DM2. The lo-fi mode captures that crustiness in there, but the DM2 only has about 300 milliseconds of delay in there. You know, I could get up to a second of delay with this mode. I can also add modulation in there. I can control the depth and the rate, as well as the modulation shape. We've got this modern and lo-fi mode. You know, lo-fi is going to have a lot more character, as we just heard. And then we've got two controls, which are awesome. We've got the jump interval, which lets you assign a foot switch to have like a pitch shifted jump on your delays. A common characteristic of these old delays would be that if you had, you know, delay in the delay line and you twisted the delay knob, you would get pitch shifting artifacts. So you can do that, but you can set it to a musical interval, like an octave, a perfect fifth, a perfect fourth, a minor third, and a major third in there. So I'll put that there at an octave and just let you hear what that does. I've just assigned it to one of the onboard foot switches. I'm going to turn the feedback up a little bit on this and leave it at a second of delay with a mix at 50%. We'll play with that one a little bit more in just a second, but I want to add some modulation to this delay and sync it up to the tempo. So you just go to the general mode, turn tempo on over here, come back, and you can choose between just about any rhythmic subdivision you need. And, you know, they've put a dotted eighth note and a quarter note right near the center for a reason. So I will set it to a dotted eighth note delay on there. I'm going to bring some modulation in here. We'll go with some sine wave modulation, and I'll set the LFO rate, I don't know, somewhere to like a half note or something like that. Nothing too fast. Let's do 10/16 and have a listen to what that mod adds. Now, one really popular feature of old analog delay pedals, whether they had modulation or not, was turning up the feedback to the point where they would start self-oscillating. You can actually assign one of the buttons on the H90 to kick in a self-oscillation effect. So it doesn't matter where you have the feedback, you use this self-oscillation button in the Bouquet delay, and you got it, you get self-oscillation. It's super fun to combine with modulation in front of an amp with a bit of dirt, and it's this sound we all know and love. That works best on lo-fi mode, and it really does remind me of what you can do with, say, an old Boss DM2. I've got a Boss DM2 here, and I love it for that particular sound. You could hear there, because I've got the delay synced to a rhythmic tempo, all those little intervals are kind of quantized. If you just turn that off and you use self-oscillation, then you can just start with a long delay, bring it down, and get that smooth, crazy spaceship takeoff effect. I was saying before how an environment like the H90 is amazing when you can take a classic sound like this and kind of stretch it to places that you wouldn't be able to do on the original hardware, or maybe if you did, it would just be really expensive and inflexible. The stereo tap feature on here is probably my favorite aspect of this. I love the tone of this delay and the character in there, but you can set a core delay time or delay subdivision like I've got here, and then set up the other side of the stereo spectrum to be a different subdivision of that. So for example, I'm going to do this and just very, very lightly offset this quarter note delay with a 15/16 offset. So they're almost the same delay time, but this is going to sound massive in stereo. Check it out. This is absolutely amazing as a lead delay. I've got the core subdivision as a quarter note. I've got the stereo tap to be a half of that. I've got a little bit of modulation on there, and I've got some grease from my Axe effects using the USA Lead mid-gain model. This is an amazing stereo dual delay. I'll turn the mix up a little bit and I'll let you hear that in lo-fi mode. So we'll go closer to 50% mix on here. This one has way more of that crust. It's a lot darker. I think with a tone like this, it's maybe a little bit too dark, but I'll let you hear it anyway. There's a square wave LFO option in here which can let you do some kind of glitchy sounding delays in there. I've basically set this up so that the LFO rate is double the rate of the dotted eighth note, and I've just tuned the depth control to give me a musical interval in there. So you get this. A super fun trick is using two instances of Bouquet delay into one another and then using that pitch jump feature on there. So I've got an octave set up on one. Maybe let's set up, say, a perfect fifth on the other. Slightly different delays, but they are tempo synced. This is going to sound pretty wild because I've still got that square wave LFO going on the first delay. I'll actually let you hear that on its own, then bring in the second one. Chase Bliss vibes there with that kind of thing. And of course, you could combine this with, say, some of the pitch shifting algorithms and go totally wild with this. I love this particular mode in here. It is definitely one of my favorite new algorithms in the H90. And even though on the surface, it just kind of seems like a really lovely vintage recreation of old school effects, you can use it as a creative canvas and go totally wild with it. I'll play you out with this kind of modified factory preset in here called Leaky Bucket. It's using that stereo tap trick in there. I've set up a much faster mod rate on here as a triangle LFO, a little bit of modulation depth in there. I've got it on the modern mode. That just sounds really nice to me. So let me know your thoughts on this particular algorithm and what you like to use it for if you're using an H90, and let me know which algo I should cover on the next video. If you like what I'm doing on the channel, links in the video description to support what I'm doing. Otherwise, have a great day.